Everyone, this is Korosh Erfani. Today is Saturday, October 11th, 2025, and I am going to talk about institutions in the United States. As you know, from the beginning with the Trump administration, we saw that there is a specific targeted effort in order to diminish the power of institutions. We can talk about all the attacks against judiciary system, putting in question the system of checks and balances, for example, and of course trying to removing completely the education department and this kind of activity. So the question is why Trump administration, why Trump government tries to effectively undermine the institutional aspect of American system. So the answer cannot be easy or at hand. We have to think about that in terms of the structure of democracy. Any democracy has this particularity of being an entity that is institutional. So we can call an institutional configuration as democracy, conversely to in the opposite to what we have as a more or less personal system where one person or a very limited group of persons decide about everything, right? So democracy is a collective system where the responsibility, the powers, and the decisions are somehow shared by a great number of the people, and all this system is organized based on institutions. So that's why it's important to keep effectively this institutional character for any democracy, for any system that wants to be democratic. It must be also institutional. So when you start to put in question the institutional character of a system, it means that you have a problem with the democracy, right? You have a problem with the power shared by a great number of people and groups of people that we call social structure, administrative structures, governmental entities, or the generic term institutions. So when you attack institutions, it means that you don't want to share the power. You want to monopolize that. You want to have it in the hands of yourself or your friends, and you don't want to give it away or hand it out to the different entities or structures called institutions. So the objective of doing so, attacking the different institutions, weakening them, and maybe at the end of the day removing them, is a process. And we can see that in all the examples of establishing authoritarianism, totalitarianism. If you take the case of fascism in Italy or Nazism in Germany, it's exactly the same process: attacking the institution, putting them in question, weakening them, diminishing them, and at the end of the day removing them. So this is what we are going to have in the United States, and we can see that through all the actions that are going on. So any excuse can be good to get rid of an institutions. For example, here you see that the government shutdown turned into an opportunity for the Trump administration to put an end, to the presence of many people in the administration, right? For example, regarding the CDC here, the damage is such with with firing more than 4,000 people that they are talking about impossibility of repairing that, right? Which means that even though you have another opportunity to hire the people, already institution will be so chaotic, so destructured that you cannot really repay that. So that's why in this attempt by the Trump administration to put down the institutional structure of government or governance in the United States, there is something that some are calling disastrous, right? Is a disaster because once you lose your institutions, you cannot repair that as easy as you can imagine, because any institution is the result of decades of work, sometimes centuries of work to establish, to build up, and to elaborate that. And you see, just in a few months, you can completely undo anything that had been done for more than 1 century. This is what's going to happen in the United States. And the warnings, the warning messages are multiplying. The known political figures are talking about maybe democracy at risk, and in order to identify this risk seriously, you have to have an idea about the technical aspect of democracy, which is institutionalization. This is a process, this is a historical process that we call institutionalization, right? Which means creating the institution, making the activities and process institutionalized, right? Establishing them as institution and then practicing them, managing them. So when you start effectively to dismantle that, to reduce that, of course, you are putting at risk seriously the whole being of democracy. What is at stake here is the mere core of democracy, which is the institutional feature of the system. So what Trump administration is doing is first attacking to the different institutions in order to diminish them, right? In order to impair them. So that's the first part. The second would be reducing the number of institutions, which means that at any opportunity they will completely, shut down an institution or remove and eliminate and cancel an institution, like the Department of Education, for example. And then also the objective is to making them ineffective, making them more and more inefficient in such a way that the governance of the country can be done in another way than in the institutional way, right? That's the idea. To establish another practice or another model of governance on the country than normal democratic institutional configuration. And of course they start to make these institutions disappear once they are diminished, once they are completely decreased and undermined, and they put them aside, they remove them, and at the end of the day there is no more really institutional control or institutional management on the country. So what will be the replacement? The replacement, which is the equivalent of authoritarianism, is the personification of power. It's a question of putting everything in the hands of a person or a limited number of people, so that they can decide about everything, and they don't need really to go through the institutional procedures, institutional mechanisms, and they can decide about everything as they want. That's the idea of creating a kind of kingdom. That's why the people are going to protest against the king effectively, because they can see that everything now is going toward a kind of personification, impersonation of power in the hands of Trump and his group, his team, and very soon you will see the personification and monopolization of a monopoly of power in the hands of the Trump family. This is the idea. His idea is effectively to create a kingdom, Trump monarchy or something, but before announcing it, before making it constitutional by changing the US Constitution, he needs to do this diminishing and undermining institution, so that the institutional character of the system becomes completely null, dull, inefficient, and from that moment it would be possible to individualize everything, to personify everything, and then at a point in the history, in the future, he can effectively enable himself or his group to announce the establishment of the Trump monarchy or something like that. The idea is to get rid of democracy. And by democracy, we means checks and balances, having some watchdog control, supervision of each power, each branches over the other one. So once effectively this is complete, we can be sure that there wouldn't be any democracy in the United States, and we are going through a new period of history where there is authoritarianism, totalitarianism under the kingdom of the family Trump, King Trump and his family. So beware about that. If as a citizen you are interested to live in a democratic system, you should be really worried about what's going on right now. And as you can see, now the system is so challenged that one person with one decision can effectively cause such a damage. $2 trillion just in a single day for the US economy because of a sudden decision, sudden change in the strategy of tariff for China. So if the country is subject to this kind of personified decision-making process, everything in the hands of one person, with his emotions, with his ups and downs, I have to say that the future of such a country will be seriously in peril, at risk. So beware about that. I hope that we are going to have more opportunity to talk about that, to talk about the structural features of democracy and how effectively this group is seriously, purposely, and intentionally trying to diminish all these structural characteristics of democracy, including institutional feature that we have talked about that. Thank you very much for watching this video.